Hey, how's it going everyone? My name is Sam Cosby and I'm going to be talking to you today about RGB LED training. I'm going to give you a brief background information on what RGB is, the uses of RGB, and etc. So let's start this off. So again, on the agenda today we have what is RGB, the uses of RGB, see some examples of what RGB is used for, how the LED strip of RGB works, how a controller works that controls the RGB LED strips, and then lastly we're actually going to configure the unit as a whole and see what it looks like. So RGB is a color model in which red, green, and blue emit. From this is a simple color scheme that most colors in the color spectrum can be seen by most, essentially every color besides black. Now we're going to be talking about how this actually works. So RGB is again RGB, sorry about that, is used by a series of binary numbers that translate into colors programmable code. Now this is done by a series of binary and hexadecimal numbers. So I'm going to start this off today. So this is a simple online calculator which converts numbers to binary to hexadecimal. So simple, 1 is for everything. Binary is simply just ones and zeros, which convert numbers into larger numbers. So again, 1 is 1, 0, 0. Now let's bring this up to 9. In hexadecimal, 9 is still 9. But this is where it gets tricky, is once you start going into the 10 through 15 range. This is when numbers are becoming letters. Now this is 10 because in hexadecimal it uses all 4 of these numbers. So you have the 0, 1, 0, 1, which translates into 10 in hexadecimal, or in decimal, and A in hexadecimal. So to see the full range of this capability, you start with, let's do a, sorry about that, 255. Now this has the range of the full 8-bit capability of what a binary number is used for, and then this shows the hexadecimal capability as well. So when you see all ones, it's FF, which is translated into decimal, which is 255. So this kind of gives you a brief background on what hexadecimal is. So let's go back to the slideshow. So on this shows you some examples of what certain colors are. So blue, for example, is 000FF, which is equal to just standard blue. FF0000 is equal to red, and so forth. And this is the number for black, even though black isn't actually capable of becoming something. So some of the uses for RGB again are you have some computer displays, phone displays, video projectors, and LED displays, but we're going to be talking about LED displays mainly today. So again, here's some uses for what RGB strips can be used for. As you can see, it gives a nice aura under this bar. For this house, kind of looks like a Christmas time maybe for this house, or even this nice green ambient light for this house as well. So how does it work? So an RGB LED strip works by the series of is a circuit on a strip. Now it's a flexible strip that you can mold to wherever you really want. RGB again stands for red, green, blue, but other kinds of strips have different styles, such as this one, which is GRB, and sometimes you have to have a troubleshooting method on connecting different types of RGB strips. We're going to be talking about analog today, which is the main one, which is it creates one large color rather than multiple separate colors, which are what digital, which is much more expensive. So this is the controller that we're going to be using today. It's pretty standard. It allows for functionalities of different color schemes. It outputs 144 watts, and you must have a 12-volt connection power to it. Here's some of the modes again that you can actually use from this controller. You have auto, you have jump, you have the other jump, and the fades. Okay, so now you can see here how a quick configuration of how the RGB controller actually works. So this is the actual controller itself. To give a quick demo, this is the power light and how it signals that the power is actually on. This is the radio frequency link transmitter, which signals that the remote is working. And this is the most standard. It says optional, but this is probably the most preferred. This is just plugging your power supply directly into the wall. This is powering it through another power supply, such as a battery of some sort, which could be harder to configure because you actually have to add the plus and minus to the configuration side, which I would rather just plug in and directly put it into my jack into my wall. But it's your choice. So this obviously shows another way of how you can connect different RGB LED products to one another. So this one's a simple RGB LED connector. It just signals RGB to RGB, G to R to R, G to G, B to B, and so forth. Now some of the problems with this can actually occur when you have different types of RGB LED products, such as the one that I showed you. When you have these set up differently, it's hard to configure where the R needs to go and where the G needs to go if the RGB LED product doesn't actually say where it should be. So sometimes you have to do a quick test and run through of exactly what to do. But now I'm actually going to show you what it's like to do this in real life. So let's go to that.
Okay, so this is the RF controller itself, and it is the standard one and the same as the configuration. I already have it configured currently to blue, green, red, and the voltage in. This goes into the actual strip itself. You can see the strip, yep, goes into the strip itself, and I have the power supply coming in from the back, which is DC in through your standard wall mount. So this, you can currently see the power is on. You can see there's a signal relay over here which turns on and off, which shows you from the remote control. And now I'm actually going to show you some of the abilities that this controller has. So I'll show you. We have red, green, blue, white, orange, yellow, cyan, and purple. And then you have the jumps between 3, jump 7, jumps between 7, fade 3, which goes between 3, fade 7 again, goes between 7, you have the strobe light, slow it down, and then you have auto, which goes to the beat of music. It can get pretty crazy when you use this one. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on how to use RGB lighting, and hopefully you will use it as well. Thank you.